So anyway, we're here, Costa Rica Unfiltered Podcast, Episode 3. Our guest host here is Patrick Allen.
This is the Costa Rica Unfiltered Podcast. Featuring your host, Kenny Costa Rica. Alongside this guest host, Patrick Allen.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Patrick's
It's beautiful.
Patrick's a good friend of mine, which is the reason why we can, not just me smoking a cigar. We can have a nice cigar here and talk about some stuff, man. How he came into the country and kind of why. And we did that on obviously our first two episodes, but it's cool because you and Roya, you guys don't have kids. You guys came here. You started a business, so there's a whole different perspective. And you're from the U.S., so I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, it was a process. I mean, Roy and I have wanted to live abroad for years. And then I think COVID kind of kicked everything into high gear like it did for so many people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, our first time down in Costa Rica was April of 2021. So
like most of us,
yeah,
kind of came around.
Exactly. But it's I mean, as you know, and anyone that's moved down here, it's a process, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've been searching, like, actually Colombia was really high on our list.
Really?
Yeah, we'd both been to Colombia. We spent like 3 weeks in Colombia and fell in love with it. Colombia was big on our list. I mean, lifestyle, trying to find a place where, we lived in cities for so long, and, we're in Seattle, we're in San Francisco, and don't get me wrong, they're amazing places, but it's just so bustling and so many people that you walk by and you just don't even think to, like, say hi or stop and have a conversation. And we're very personable people. And also I think there's a lot to be said for longevity and community. And there's something that clicks when you start recognizing people more often. And I think small towns have that, but also, a sunny disposition. We're outside all the time.
Yeah.
And so Colombia is another place where it's like that. I mean, the people are, they're so smiley. It's like Vietnam, it's like everyone's just like, you're like, why is everyone so happy?
Yeah.
Like, is it fake?
So,
but it's genuine.
So what about, like, because everybody, if you talk about Colombia, even people here that I've met that have gone to Colombia and come back, and everybody always asks them, like, oh, Colombia, I don't know, like, the safety there, right? But everybody that I've known that's went there has said, man, it's good there.
We were blown away. Not one time in all 3+ weeks we were there did we ever feel uncomfortable. And we were walking around at night. We were in Medellin. We went out in Cali. We went to this town called Minca. We were up in Cartagena.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, we went through the Valle de Cocora.
And you guys had no, like,
zero.
Not once you thought
Not
anything.
once.
Oh,
and actually, at that point, we were kind of just getting out of that post-college, hostel kind of travel lifestyle. We were just leveling up just a little bit, but we were still trying to save some money,
Yeah.
So it wasn't like we were staying in super nice spots.
Yeah. I heard it's cheap there.
Yeah. Oh, rough. Yeah, it's really inexpensive.
Yeah. We've got some friends that are there now, and they're trying to buy some properties and do some of that stuff. And then, I hear some of the stories as to what they do, and they go out there for suppers and the money they're paying. I'm like, wow, that's crazy cheap.
Yeah. I mean, when Roy and I were just there for an eye care conference back in it was last November. But I went out and I remember getting a filet mignon, and it was like $15.
Really?
Yeah, and it was in a nice restaurant.
Whole meal, nice restaurant.
Really nice.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good price, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you say nice, I mean, the food wasn't just nice. Like the whole experience was nice. The service was like multi-level. It was like a jungle inside. Flowers and plants everywhere.
It was a legit restaurant. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, like, you would say regular restaurants, if you were to go to eat like a little mom and pop shop like sodas here, like
couple bucks.
Couple bucks.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Worth the travel, I guess, to check it out.
100%. And it's one of those places too where it's so diverse in terms of, and that's something that also drew us to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But going up to Cartagena, the Caribbean side, it's like, it's got the Caribbean vibe, very French, Spanish influence in terms of like Cartagena's colors and kind of what you'd expect. Almost reminds me of like what I would imagine a South American New Orleans would be.
Oh, wow,
Like
eh?
the balconies and
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
flowers outside. I mean, it really is special.
People hanging out outside.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
So what was the difference then for you guys to come here? Like, what made you guys say, Costa Rica? I mean,
Yeah. Well, one of the main things that, I mean, obviously everyone's got to figure out, like, we're not rock throwing rich back in the States, right? I mean, so we kept our house, we rent that out, but we had to figure out, like, how are we going to make money down here? And if we was just about making money, we would have stayed in the U.S. Right? Yeah. This was like, this is an adventure. This is what we want to check off.
It's a lifestyle change. It's
totally
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. If life's a movie, man, this is like the chapter we're in, and we wanted to go do it. But you obviously need to sustain yourself. In Costa Rica, on top of being able to make some money, one of the things outside of the making money is we want to really help people. And Roya is, I'm sure she'll be on the show at some point. She is an unbelievable optometrist.
Yeah, she really is.
She truly is. And in Costa Rica, there was kind of a gap in terms of the optometry field. There's some phenomenal ophthalmologists, and the opticians. They're great, but the education just kind of stops. Like they're very smart and very capable. But in Costa Rica, we were able to find a way to own a business and provide advanced training to optometrists where, that field really wasn't getting out to the community.
And service, from what I see.
Totally.
There's just a different level there of,
Yep. And Costa Rica afforded that to us. You're not allowed to work here unless you're a resident. We're not residents, but you are allowed to train your employees.
Yeah, of course.
And so that's a big thing for us is, creating that infrastructure. And that's where you're looking at, it's like, okay, beach, done. Anyone that says they didn't move to Costa Rica partially for the beaches, the beaches are unbelievable. Unbelievable. The blue zone, the lifestyle, the community that we touched on. Obviously we wanted to make money, but it's in between East Coast, West Coast, and then truly being able to really help people. Yeah,
it's a great spot. And I mean, for you guys coming here and doing what you're doing, you guys are helping a lot of people. Like, you guys have done so much for the communities.
Yeah. So, I got to give a shout out. Letitia Dewar and Sepia organization gave us a great blueprint. And not even blueprint. We're not copying what they do. We've kind of piggybacked on top of their organization. But they have provided an incredible infrastructure for kids in the community, for after-school programs, for during-school programs, truly providing a level of education and opportunity that wouldn't have been afforded. And what our clinic has done is, for every paid eye exam, we donate an eye exam. And so we've done that through Sepia, we've done it through local schools. But yeah, I think right now we're about to hit our 11th month in business, and I think we're at like the 750 eye exams, give or take, donated.
That's fantastic, man.
Donated.
That's fantastic. Good for you guys.
Thank you.
I mean, Sepia is one that we said we would like to have on the show too, and maybe get them out here for an episode, because they're doing a ton of stuff for all the communities around here for sure.
Totally. I mean,
and they're a pretty big company too, right? So
absolutely. And I tell you what, you want to talk about a motor? Letitia she is a little Mighty Mouse. I mean, I'm super impressed with how they operate, and it's purely, when you can tell that someone is doing something just because it's good.
They want to
love it. Be good.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Like, there's no ulterior motive. It is just like
they're doing it because they're there to help. Yeah.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So that's been really special.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And I mean, man, for you guys to come here and think about doing all this stuff and starting it, I mean, that's a big aspect of it, right?
Oh yeah, it's a huge thing. Ultimately, what we'd like to do is try and get more partners involved, because really the goal is, I mean, we've kind of talked about this too, obviously off the podcast, but whether it's, you call it the gift, the secret, but this idea of just genuinely giving out to the universe and ask, working hard for things, but if you do it without these ulterior motives, like really trying to help, the universe has a way of kind of giving back. And
definitely.
And I think that's a huge thing that Costa Rica offers.
Yeah.
Because the people here are so friendly.
Yeah.
They are, very eager to work, very eager to learn. Like the program, the optometrist, dude, I can't tell you how impressed we are with the staff that we've hired.
Yeah. Costa Ricans they're amazing people, man.
They truly are.
Yeah.
And And I think there's also, a level of, as an expat coming in to their country, one, trying to learn the language. I think it's a sign of respect. I mean, I wish I knew more, but I'm certainly trying.
Yeah, I think that's all they look for, man. If you're trying, they're happy, right? Like, you're trying to learn, right?
Yes. And then beyond that, trying to figure out a way to give back. Whether it's volunteering, there's so many great volunteering opportunities.
Yeah.
Or getting your business involved. I mean, it's there's a lot. There's a lot to do.
Yeah, you know what? And I've seen that here too. And, if the businesses that do help out, I mean, it's almost like our own community, right? Like, try to keep doing more for the communities you're in and things like that, right? So,
like what you've done with the poker tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that type of, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
You're doing it because you genuinely want to help. There's a local school that needed help.
Yeah,
right?
get some money and get them. And look at the school now; it looks awesome. Right? Not to say that came from us. I mean, there's all kinds of people helped in the community. There's so many private donations. I mean, but everybody's doing their part, right? Just to kind of help, these local communities, right?
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. Maybe you could incorporate like a one heads up hand for everybody that comes on the show.
That'd be fantastic.
And whoever wins it,
yeah, we should do that.
Riff on that, right?
Yeah, we should do that.
Just see who wins. Like, you got to do a dare or something. I don't know.
That's a good idea.
It'd be kind of funny, right?
I think we'll get into some crazy shit if we start doing that.
Exactly. There's like a box. Well, Kim decides what's in the box.
Yeah.
You don't know, but the loser has to do whatever's in the box.
You have to just do whatever's in there. Somebody's gonna be jumping off this balcony for sure.
Exactly. With a parachute, hopefully.
Yeah, that's so funny, man.
But yeah, I mean, to what you just kind of hit on, the community itself, outside of, you guys doing the poker tournaments, think about like what Brooks does with the Playa Grande community. There are so many people in Costa Rica, and I think it's what draws a lot of folks here, even when they just visit. Mm-hmm. It's a frequency. You can feel it without even having to ask that question.
Yeah.
Like, people are very spirited.
Yeah.
They want to do good things.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, there's unfortunate folks everywhere you go in the world.
Of course there is.
But I feel on the whole, I've met just a higher percentage of people here that are really out there trying to do.
Yeah, good, man. Good people.
Stuff.
Yeah. Brooke's another one where she's a machine in Playa Grande. Like, she does so much, donates so much of her time to help out and run so many things. And, like, you got to give it to her too, right? And she'd be a good one to have on the show too. Maybe talk about a few things, right?
Yeah. I feel like it's every other day there's a message coming out. There's a little community event for the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing some volunteer. They're doing beach cleanup. There's a Halloween bus that's going.
Always. Yeah, there's always.
It's freaking awesome.
Yeah. We
awesome.
did the Halloween bus thing last year. It was actually pretty funny.
Oh, nice. Did you dress up?
Yeah, we dress up every year. We like
boy.
We like
What'd you
dress
do?
Up. I don't know. I forget. All I remember is we went to a friend's house for a party. And David, Katie and David.
Yeah.
Man, we walked in and somebody came up to me. I don't know if it was Mario. He's like, hey, you know who this guy is? And I'm like, well, I got no clue who that guy is. David had shaved his beard. He looked completely different. It was the funniest thing in the world. Then I walked in. I'm like, I don't know that guy.
Yeah, this guy's creepy.
I forget what he was dressed up as too. He was dressed. I don't know if it was like Die Hard. Like, what's his name from Die Hard?
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. I don't know what. I'm pretty sure it was something like that. But he shaved, looked completely different, and I literally was like, I have no idea who that is, and just kind of brushed it off. But then later, like, it came over, started talking. I'm like, what the hell, man? Like, he looked completely different. It was so funny.
Have you seen those videos where it's like big burly dads with the beards and whatnot, and then they shave and they're like they're little kids see them and freak out. Yeah.
My kids told me, like, I remember the last time I shaved my beard, and my kids told me, like, don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
Like, don't ever shave your beard off again. And I'm
touch
like,
that.
really? They're like, yeah, don't ever shave their beard off again.
They get comfortable.
They absolutely hated it. It was like, that's not you,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I feel that. So I'm curious, how did you guys pick Costa Rica?
Should have watched the second episode.
Oh. Okay.
But yeah, we did. It was between this, and we talked about it in that episode. It was between this and Turks and Caicos. And
was that an actual burn, or did I just drop some?
It was a burn.
That was
a burn. It was a burn.
That was a burn.
It was between this and Turks and Caicos, but Turks and Caicos number one pricing was a little more than we thought that we could kind of do in the near future, because we did want to develop and do a couple things like that. Here, there seemed like there was so much more opportunity for development here.
Absolutely.
I mean, schools here, there was a lot more options in schooling, and just way more biodiversity here. Like, I mean, this country is absolutely nuts, You you're on the beach, hot, especially in dry season, and man, you can drive 4 hours and you gotta put a sweater on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
crazy, right?
Yeah, those are the microclimates.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
You just hit on something that Roy and I have been wildly impressed with, and we don't have kids, so it wasn't huge on our radar, but certainly something we poked around in doing research on. But the schooling here, because part of what Ojos Del Mar does, we go out and we go to the schools and provide free screenings, and we've now gone to 4, and they're all different. These are. They've been private schools. We actually had a public school this past Monday, but they had to reschedule because of exams. But man, seeing the difference between like La Paz, Educarte, going to Journey.
Yeah, there's a lot of differences.
Waldorf. I mean, they got a Waldorf school here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was not expecting just such an incredible assortment. And from a parent's perspective, to be able to say, hey, you know what, this is what I believe in.
Yeah.
Or this is the type of education that, I want, and being able to offer that for your kids.
Yeah, they've got larger schools, smaller schools, and there's a lot of people that do want their kids in smaller schools, or, we absolutely love La Paz where the kids are. Another one is Tide Academy.
Yeah.
That's another one. That's close to where you guys
It's
are.
across the street.
It's across the street, yeah.
Yeah, one of our friends runs it.
Yeah, we have a few, like I said, we've got a few, there's a few schools in the area that are absolutely fantastic, and I think we're going to touch base on that in another episode too, just kind of maybe getting in a little more. We discussed about maybe having like Mr. Abel on the show, and,
For sure.
Just kind of giving people a little bit more as to what they need to know and information-wise, right?
For sure.
We had the reasons why we picked the school we did. People, everybody's got their own opinions on what they need and what they want, right, in a school, so.
Well, and part of it too, this is Asher, yeah? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Part of it too. I know I'm supposed to let that go, but I'm not going to pay attention. It's going to follow.
I didn't want to give him the rookie move.
I know.
Hey, at least
it looks so nice.
At least you noticed it, man. You noticed it.
I know.
Attaboy.
But something else, like my dad he's old school, man. My dad I love him to death. He's incredible father. But with what you've seen happen, at least in the U.S., kids are just so, unfortunately, I think, bombarded with technology and social media that you almost forget, as a kid, to be a kid.
Yeah.
And here, I've been so impressed with, they take their phones, or they don't have phones when they're at school.
Yeah.
Kids giving you eye contact, being present, asking questions. I mean, my dad walked away. He was actually at La Paz. Mm-hmm. And after day 1, he grabbed me and he said, Patrick, this is one of the coolest schools I've ever been to, and it's because of the quality of the kids. Whatever they're doing here, these are great kids.
Yeah, I remember the day you guys went there. That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my kids were all happy, like, Patrick and Roya came, and, it was so fun.
It was a good time, man. And it really is. I mean, there's something that, a kid's joy, when you see kids are just, like, Costa Rica Unfiltered, it's like kids unadulterated.
Yeah.
Just being kids.
Kids.
They were outside taking classes outside. Constantly in between classes, they were like playing sports.
Yeah. What about the hammocks in the outdoor hallways?
Oh my goodness!
It's like people just sitting there reading books or on their laptop doing their work. It's absolutely amazing.
Dude, I wanted to enroll.
Yeah.
That school looked incredible.
So did I. When the kids, I'm like, I got to find a way to get in here, man. You guys, I don't know if I want you guys to go to school here. I want to get in here somehow. But Kim did. We were talking about that, and Kim volunteered. They did some kind of thing where they the kids have to it's like they're going into a job interview.
Okay.
So they kind of just teach them a little bit as to if you're going somewhere and you need to interview with somebody, like how do you go about it, and it's just all those little details, right? The eye contact, this, that, the other thing. So like Kim went in as she was like an employer, or and she sat down and she got to interview the kids to see how they would work, and she was absolutely like, I cannot believe how the kids did, how well they did, right? Talking about like she used to run customer service across Canada for a company there. And she used to come home some days when she had to hire for positions. And she's like, you'd have no idea. This girl came in and answered her phone during the interview. Like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand what people think nowadays when they're going into that. That just doesn't, I wouldn't even take a phone. When I was going for a job interview, I was sick for 3 days.
Yeah.
Thinking about going for that job interview.
Yeah.
Because
all I
it's
want
like,
to do is crush that interview.
yeah, I needed to crush that interview, right? And that's
Yeah.
all you think about for 3 days. You can't sleep, your stomach, you got butterflies. And then people are going in there answering phones and like, hang on, or, oh, I already can't do this. It's like, what the heck is going on, right?
Yeah.
She went there and she was like, man, just the way they answered, the way they, like, eye contact, everything was just fantastic, right? So,
well, and part of that I do believe is not having phones at school. I mean, I can't remember. There's a celebrity. I think it was Denzel Washington, but I saw a video a number of years ago where he's talking about, friends versus digital friends. Right. When we were going to school, you only had to impress like the kids that you were with,
Yeah,
like
your
your buddies.
buddies.
Yeah, exactly. Just your buddies, whoever you're hanging out with.
Yeah.
Now it's hundreds of kids or thousands, that aren't even there, and you're trying to impress, or how many likes can you get, and knowing what all of your counterparts have in terms of their social profile. For a kid is more, let's say you're in the U.S. and you're focused more on your sports and studying, and social media isn't really your thing. Like, is there something in the background saying, how come I don't have 5,000 friends?
yeah. Yeah.
And like psychologically, what does that do to you?
And there's just a ton of, I think, negative things that come with, all the new technology and what these kids look at and what they're trying to be, because that's obviously going to change what they're trying to be, right? They're just, you're at a young age. I don't know. I always think this, you're at a young age, your mind is just not fully developed. So for us, for these kids to get into that at a very young age, that's molding them into something that they probably never wanted, but they're just, getting kind of bred into it at a young age. I mean,
Subconsciously.
yeah,
too.
and we look at it the same thing too. We're like, what do you do, right? As a parent, it's you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, because everybody else is doing it. Oh, how come I can't? All the other kids have this, or they're on there, or they're playing this, or they're playing that. Do you just be the bad parent and just be like, no?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, those are questions I haven't had to answer myself, but
It's tough, man.
I can only imagine.
It's tough, man. Like, you're just trying to do the right thing, and you want them to, what goes into their mind, you just want it to be right. And, it's everything, right? It's the people to hang out with. I mean, like you were saying, back in the day, we had a few friends. I mean, yeah, there was a couple of things we would do and get stupid because, hey, man, I can do it. I want to impress this guy. It was smaller things. It wasn't as big because it was only 4 or 5 guys you're hanging out with trying to, you know what I mean? Where now it's, man, you see some of the stupid videos these kids see on the internet, and you're like, they're going to try to compete with this stuff.
Of course.
And we're talking
getting in
about
trouble,
dangerous
too.
shit.
Yeah,
We're talking about and that's the stuff that they're going to compete with. This stuff like that just doesn't, it just doesn't make sense to me. But
Well, and the other thing too is once it's on the internet, I mean, I think about some of the dumb shit that I did when I was a kid. I'm glad it wasn't on video.
you
know what I mean?
Definitely.
I mean, that stuff stays there, and all of a sudden now that's your type. You get typecast as you're the kid that did this thing, and now you're going to a job interview, and someone's like, "Wait, I know you."
Yeah.
Well, now, I mean, not to shift gears dramatically, but on the tech front, like think about with ChatGPT or AI.
Gee, man.
I mean, it is. I will say I use it a lot.
Oh, so do I. Like, I mean,
But
how can you not? Like, when you're there, it's like, I forget who had said this too, and I read something. I mean, I know, what's his name there? Gary Vaynerchuk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he says it all the time. I mean, if you don't kind of learn a little bit of this stuff, you're dead, because, you know what I mean? Like, this,
you're
no
so,
matter,
so far behind.
yeah, whether you want it or not, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you can talk bad about it all you want. You can be negative as much as you want about it, but it's here to stay. So either you embrace it and learn it and probably use it, or you don't, right? And I try to keep on top with most things. And ChatGPT is amazing, right? Like, there's so much that you can do with this stuff, and the sky's the limit. I keep telling my wife, I'm like, AI learns so quick. When we're learning something, we can learn for 5, 7, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. That thing's learning every single second.
From everyone.
From everyone. There's no sleep.
I mean, whether it's, especially content, like written content, it is remarkable. It could write an entire year's worth of blog posts in
Seconds.
30 seconds.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like
absolutely crazy.
That's a week's or 2 weeks worth of work.
Yeah, and it's just gonna get
it's good.
Yeah, it is good, and it's just gonna get better. Like the people that use it now, you're going through everything, and you gotta proofread and go over it. I mean, I think it's gonna get to a point where that's just gonna be that good.
Yeah. Well, and then you start wondering, like, how many jobs is that going to eat up, and what do you as a kid study in order to stay gainfully employed?
Yeah, where do you go?
Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah.
Right. And to your point, and Gary's point, it's almost how well can you work with AI to produce the highest quality results. Right, because it's even doing design now, like logo design.
Oh,
I think you poked around with one of those, didn't you?
I did. I poked around with it, and it was off of it was a tattoo one, where I kind of went on. I was looking to do some stuff, and normally I use Upwork quite a bit. I've been using Upwork for years. Right,
amazing.
Upwork is an amazing platform, and I've used that forever. I've used a couple other ones, but then this time, because AI, I'm like, man, there's got to be something out there, right? So then I start messing around online, stumbled across this little this tattoo app, and I went on and literally started telling this thing, and it was kind of weird because it's not all there yet. Like, even if you wanted some letters or some writing, it wouldn't even spell it correctly. That's how crazy it was. Like, AI was trying to put too much together, and it just so it wasn't working like fully, but enough to kind of come out. I kind of did a bunch of it, came out with a logo that I kind of liked, and then I just took that, went to Upwork, and was like, hey, design me something like this, add this in there. Yeah. It's like I wasn't starting from scratch.
For sure.
I could do the base work and then send it over, right? So.
And I mean, you think about it. I'm trying to think back on when the first time I even heard of ChatGPT. It hasn't been that long.
No, it hasn't been.
Right? Less than a year. So you consider that design app has been learning for, 9 months. I don't know how long it's been, but let's just say it's a year. Now go out a couple years. I think he's going to be able to design anything you want.
Different level. And we're talking a couple of years because we have no idea. But I'm talking like a few months. I bet you open that app up in a few months, and if they're doing the correct updates and all that stuff, man, that thing's going to be like...
There's ones that build websites now, too. Like, you can give it a prompt like, hey, I want this website to be, collect information, these fields, and it will literally pump it out for you and design the form, input, everything.
Wow.
I mean, it's literally writing code.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's just, it's beyond me.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited. I mean, like, any kind of entrepreneur, they would be like, I would think like I am, and just looking at it saying, okay, where can we go? How can we use this to, the advantage of our niche or our business or whatever we're doing, right? Man, I just think it's going to be different level.
Yeah, it's a huge tool.
Yeah.
And I think, that's another thing down here for entrepreneurs in Costa Rica. And I think it's coming, and you're seeing it already with new investment funds. I just saw there's a huge, I think it was 500 billion. A Bolivian guy just announced a venture capital fund for Latin and South America.
Yeah.
So the money's coming, but
definitely.
The entrepreneurship community down here is young, and so getting on the forefront and being one of those guys or gals that has the mind, wants to build something. The opportunity down here, it's like big fish, small pond.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I look like. We talk to investors back home for certain things. Like, we're developing a couple of things here, and man, it's exciting, it's fun, it's and you can do it here.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than it is back home, right? Like, there's properties, like even a lot of the realtors and stuff that are here, it's like, we're scarce with properties in this location, that location. There's always something. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, prices have gone up for sure, but I mean, it's still, the prices are still great.
Yeah. Relative to what you're getting and where you think it's going.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I post a lot of houses and real estate on my social platforms, and I post stuff that expensive, relatively expensive homes too, but that's just stuff I'm showing, so I just do a video while I'm there, right? But man, you can, if you can come here and live on a beach for $250,000-$300,000 and live in a different country on the beach, that's fantastic, man.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
I mean, that's stuff that go back. I was talking to my grandma about this before we moved down here. That's an opportunity that didn't used to exist.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you can first off, with the internet, find a property,
Yeah.
have a broker, look at it. You don't even have to come here.
Yeah.
You can look at it
Yeah.
from your, living room.
Like we do live calls. Like I'll do
yeah.
like video calls to people no matter where they are, right? USA, Canada, in Europe, and we'll do like video calls in the house. Oh, you want to see this little more? Okay, go here. Oh, you want to see this little more? Go here. Like it's the day and age we live in is just amazing, man.
I know.
For that.
I mean, the access to opportunities, and that's where, I really do think that Costa Rica, and there's a lot of countries that are on this kind of playing field where the opportunity is so ripe for an entrepreneur to come in. Like, perfect example, what is customer service like in the brokerage field, here relative to what you're used to back home? I know there's a lot of good brokers. It seems like the broker kind of market is pretty well established here.
Yeah, the market is. I mean, the only thing that is a downfall for most, there's no like centralized MLS system. They are coming out with one. Who knows how long it'll take to even get to where it needs to be. This is just, we're a little further behind here in terms of how this kind of stuff works. But man, yeah, there's some fantastic brokers here, and there's like even back home, Ryan, there's amazing ones, and there's a million of them, and 90% of them or 10% of them do 90% of the business. You know, that it's kind of the same thing here, right? But there is fantastic brokers here, and you just need the right team if you're buying here, right?
Yeah.
Like lawyers is a big thing, right? You got to make sure you're searching those properties and making sure that, the property is not owned by somebody else, or, there's all kinds of little things that you run into that as long as you're connected with the right lawyers, which we're going to have ours on here, hopefully for a podcast, and, have them kind of give everybody what to look out for and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly something that with the podcast is really valuable, creating a network and introducing quality business owners, that can be relied on for the entire process of moving down here, scouting property, navigating the legal framework.
Yeah.
That stuff is, as you said, attorneys, accountants, another big one.
And I think that's the goal, right? And, a lot of the brokers that are here, especially the ones that do most of the work because, they've been around and they understand the way everything works, they'll have lawyers that they use also where, if you connect with one of them, like we have our lawyers as well, anybody you connect with, if they've got the right lawyers and stuff to go to, you can look at property down here, purchase property, and not even come to the country. You know what I mean? Like you can literally buy sight unseen, which a lot of people do, and have a property here. If you're going to rent it out, you're going to rent it out. Or if you're planning on moving here in the future, I've always said the same thing too, like the way we came here. We came here, we came in, it was for us to live here, so we needed to scout out areas. It wasn't like to buy an investment, who cares? If the numbers work, the numbers work, right?
Exactly.
When the ROI says what it says, just buy, right?
Yeah, you just need Excel.
Yeah, just buy. So, but I mean, if you are going to move here, you got to check out the areas and make sure you're comfortable with where you are and, if it has everything that you need. But for investors, man, it's like sight unseen. You just buy, make your money, Airbnb, long-term. Like long-term rentals are needed here.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah,
long-term rentals are, it's tough
hard
here.
Yeah, it was hard for us finding something.
Yeah.
Because, again, in our first year, I think we were in 4 different spots.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of moving. I mean, now we've got a great spot that's, a full year lease, but to your point, they definitely need more long-term rentals.
And you know what? So here, there's a lot of these people, what they'll do is they'll try to give people some long-term rentals because it's tougher in the slow season for them to rent out. So they'll do like a long-term in the slow season, but then they'll say, okay, well, I'll give you a deal if you're out by November.
Yeah.
Because they want to take advantage of the Airbnb, high season rates, which is November till May, I guess we can say, right?
Yep.
I guess roughly May.
Yeah.
But I mean, you just got to know if you are going to rent a place long term that you ensure that they're not gonna do that, right? And there's so many different things. Like some companies don't want to sign, like let's say you want a 1-year lease. Some people don't want to sign a 1-year lease because in Costa Rica, if that tenant actually did want to stay, they could stay for 3 years on the property, and that wouldn't be, good for some landlords, right? So I understand where they're coming from, as a lot of them say, we'll do month to month.
Yep.
Just because I don't want to sign a 1-year lease because then you're locked in. But then you just got to be sure that they're not going to stiff you when.
So it doesn't apply if you do, for example, 11 months or something? Does it have to be like 365 days and then that thing kicks in where you can stay, or how's that work?
No, I think anything over like, I think it's like, I don't even know. I think it's like 6 months or a month or whatever. Yeah, it's considered long term. I think it's short for whatever's considered long term is not actually that long. It's not a year or whatnot.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so.
And that's part of the way that we got our deal. In our contract, we can choose any 2-week period during high season, but we have to be gone because they're going to rent it out while we're gone.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah, but that's okay. They're just like, if you have the conversation, it's like, hey, during the high season, if you can be gone for 2 weeks so we can, maybe, and what was the thing? They just want to make a little bit more money, I take it, right? Give you a kind of a better deal, but, get some on the rental side. That's fine, man.
Totally. And, it worked out for us. We haven't solidified when or where we're going to go, but we've got some friends that, when you move down here, it's hard to see friends. I mean, granted, we did have a period of 12 months where it felt like we had someone visiting us every couple weeks. But, we're going to go visit family and friends during that time.
Yeah.
And for them, the landlords, this is their second house. And so they want to come back to their kind of like beach house and have 2 weeks. And I think they may come for a week and rent it out for a week. Yeah. But it just gives them some flexibility.
Oh yeah. So one thing that we do too. So when we first came here, Kim mentioned it on the podcast the other day. Like, man, within the first year, I think we went to like 12 Airbnbs. But again, we were traveling. Like we checked out Samara. We went, to Nosara, into Uvita Dominical.
Yeah,
and we went and checked out
Uvita.
Yeah, Uvita is so cool.
That area is incredible.
Yeah, and we went down there again. Like for us, it was schools and all that. That's one of the reasons why we couldn't stay there. So we came down to this area. But we did a lot of traveling.
Yeah,
and for us, it was okay. Doing all those Airbnbs and everything. But like we've already been to some places that we really like, even inland where our friends are, Norbert and Elia. So when we were like having. There was one place that we were staying at in Villarreal.
Okay.
And we stayed there for actually quite some time. We were kind of hanging out in the Tamarindo area. And we rented, I forget, man, we rented for like months at a time. But then during those months, it was like, hey, this day, like these 3 days, you got to be out because we have a rental. These 3 days, you got to be out. These 5 days, you have to be out. So within those months, it's like we would literally pack everything up on the car.
Oh my.
And we would just go like inland, stay at our friend's house, or we would go check out a different area in Costa Rica that we haven't been to. And we would just keep doing that.
Yeah.
The crappy thing about that is we started accumulating some stuff, so it's like I was literally traveling with like my roof rack full of luggage, surfboards, like just everything, right? And then we'd end up going somewhere, stay at a little hotel or something. The hotel would be full of all our stuff, right? That's what you had to do, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
What did you think of Samara? We haven't made it down there. We went to Nosara, but haven't made it to Samara.
So me personally, I love Samara. Yeah, I love Samara. One of my favorite beaches that I've been to in Costa Rica.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
Yeah, but it's not Samara.
Oh, okay.
I love Samara Beach, but it's like a 5 or 10 minute drive down from Samara Beach is a beach called Playa Carillo.
Okay.
That beach is like I love
further
that
south.
Beach. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I absolutely love that beach. It's like lined with palm trees, like absolutely beautiful.
Nice.
Absolutely. And I'm surprised, like it's a perfect beach the way the roads come. It's like there's an island in the middle. There's traffic going this way, traffic going that way. It's super light, palm trees, and just beach. It's stunning. It's somewhere where you can see like a nice little hotel or something there, or commercial, like a little bit of commercial, maybe a restaurant, whatever. There's nothing there.
Oh wow.
It's absolutely like beautiful. And we ended up staying. I can show you the hotel we stayed at there. If you guys want to stay kind of in a hotel, because you guys have your car and stuff, so if you were to drive down there, if you guys stayed at this hotel in Playa Carillo and then just went to Samara for the day, like Samara's a beautiful little town. We stayed at a couple different places while we were down there, but this hotel we stayed at in Playa Carillo was absolutely stunning.
Like a little boutique thing, or
it was a pretty big hotel. It was a little bigger than a boutique, but the room we stayed in was gorgeous. The view was spectacular, like absolutely stunning.
When we first came down here, we weren't even looking to move like to Costa Rica. We've always had in the back of our head, as I said, like we want to move abroad, and so when you're traveling, any country's a possibility, right? And I feel like anyone that's traveled, especially when you get to a place where you're just in love with it, you're like, oh, I could live here. You know, and you say that all the time, or at least we used to. And
Yeah, I think everybody does when they go places like, man.
Oh, dude, Croatia's one for me. You know, Colombia, obviously. But we knew the beaches were great here. But until we moved here, I did not recognize how many insanely cool beaches there were.
Oh, it's nuts,
It's like
man.
every pocket you go to along the coast is just another beautiful beach.
And it's so crazy that a place like Costa Rica, there's so many beaches here that they're so hard to get to. You know, that you have to travel, go to these little areas, and then it's like the most beautiful beach.
Yep.
And like nobody there.
Yep.
Like 100% private. Like it's absolutely stunning.
Yep.
Because there's so many nice beaches here.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the whole coastline. And I still haven't even been to the Caribbean side yet.
Either have I. We talked about that the other day. Like, man, and I heard they have some of the nicest beaches over there.
And I think this time of the season is like their best, like the rainy season here. And I think like running from like July through to the end of October is supposed to be incredible over on the Caribbean side.
We're going to have to make it down there one day because
You got time? Let's go.
Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it, man. For us, it's like this is the best time for us to go, right? It's low season. You know, there's less on the go. And I mean, that's for us and everybody. Like, I've got my buddy Captain Carlito. He's going to be on the show.
Captain Carlito.
He's
What a
awesome,
name.
man.
What a name.
What a boat this guy runs. Like, the first time I met him, I actually had a friend that came down here and we did like a catamaran cruise on this. He just had a beautiful, beautiful boat. And we ended up going on there. Ended up becoming good friends with him. After that day, his kids go to school, where my kids to La Paz, where my kids go to school, and now, man, they're just a wicked family, and he's just a cool dude, and he's captaining a different boat right now, and man, he's like amazing at it, what he does, and like he's just the coolest dude. But he's saying the same thing. Like, this is their low season, right?
Yeah.
We don't have tourists here, as many tourists as we normally do, which I cannot believe why, because this is the time. Like, this is beautiful here.
It's been incredible.
Beaches are stunning. Like, October is the rainiest month. And don't get me wrong, last night was nuts. Like, last night was gnarly.
That thunder?
Dude, everybody here is freaked out. Like, oh my God. It was so loud. Like, it was nuts.
I literally sat on my back deck, though, because it was so cool.
Oh, man. Like, I was out here, like, Kim's like, don't go outside the deck, just stay inside the house. Because it was, man, everything was, like, lighting up. It was absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
So we were here, we did that, and it's like, look at it now. We're here the next morning. It's absolutely gorgeous. And the thing is, like, rain season here, or green season, how we call it, because during the day, man, this entire rain season has been fabulous every day.
Yep.
Like, the days have just been amazing. Sun in the morning, every morning sunrise. In the evening, it rains, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But I'm inside cooking dinner anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that, man. We sit down, like yesterday, watch a movie, right?
Yeah,
Cuddle up,
yeah,
watch a
yeah,
movie in the
yeah.
rain, and it was super cool. But I think this is when people should come, man.
I mean, trust me, I couldn't agree more. It's like a nice little hidden secret, to be honest. Like, you know, last season was our first year here during that time of the year, and you know, we were just working on our business so much that I didn't really get a chance to get out and enjoy it. But man, this has been truly spectacular. I was not expecting it. I thought I was going to be inside all the time, and as you said, it's like every morning up until like 3-4 o'clock.
Beautiful, absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Beautiful. And it's also like it cools down.
Yeah.
Everything is so green.
Green.
I tell you what, it's like I didn't know there were so many different greens.
I know,
Until you get to Costa
I know.
Rica, you look around like, is this fern gully? Like, what the heck is going on?
It's crazy,
out there?
man. It's
You know?
crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? We get our parents that come down. I want them to come down again, my parents and my wife's parents, in February. But like February, March, like, man, it's yellow. Like, it's starting to get dry. You'll see on the podcast come dry season. You'll notice the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really do notice it, especially down on the beaches. Like, all the beachheads go from being like lush, covered with flowers, and
It's
just
nuts.
the greenery.
It's nuts.
And then it gets to February, March, and it's like a desert.
Yeah, it's bare.
You know? Yeah, I mean, and granted, it's sunny every day, all day.
Oh, no,
that's why people want to come.
Yeah,
but-
there's zero rain. Like, come dry season, there's zero rain. But you know what? I love the dry season.
I just love Costa Rica.
Yeah. True that. I
Like
love
all of
Costa
it,
Rica.
man.
Yeah, I love this season. I love the dry season. Again, you get to do stuff in this season that you can't do in the dry season. There's stuff in the dry season that, you know what I mean? It's just, man, you get a little bit of a change, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's just like you move anywhere, right? Like, we didn't want to come here and recreate what we had. You want to understand the culture and
Yeah,
right?
definitely,
Like, you're trying to learn and understand how everything works. And something that was definitely unique for me to at least pick up on is the Tico time.
Yeah.
Like, because U.S. is like, I say 10 o'clock, like it's
10 o'clock.
It starts at 10. And
Yep.
like, if you're late for a meeting,
Yep.
like you're going to get
Yeah.
talked to. Like,
You gotta
hey,
be
you're
on
not,
time.
yeah, you're not respecting my time. What the
Yeah,
hell? You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
here, that is not the case.
Tico time, man.
It
and
is
you know
real.
what? And you know what's messed up is because when I first came here, people used to tell me like, "Oh yeah, Tico time this, Tico time that," or just talk about how things work here, right? And I was always like, "Nah, whatever, man. You know, maybe that's just the people you're dealing with, the people you're dealing with."
Yeah.
You learn. Like it's just, listen, man.
It's cultural.
It's cultural, man. It is what it is. Like, you know, they're not confrontational. They don't want issues. It's just, listen, you know, just good people. And it's like, hey, when we get there, we get there. Like, how many times, like, you know, I'm out with somebody. It's like we see somebody on the way to where we're going, and you sit there and you're talking to them, right? And like North American culture, like I'm like, oh shit, we gotta go. Oh shit, we gotta go, right?
Yeah.
Right. They don't got a care in the world.
No.
When we get there,
No,
we're
no,
gonna
no.
get there. Like they know we're coming.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know, it is what it is. So you just kind of be flexible and make sure you don't book back to backs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I mean, for the first 2 months, especially because, you know, we're building out our office, and there was a huge, you know, we're building a second floor, doing all the design, interior, importing stuff and whatnot. And at a certain point, I thought my name was Tranquilo, because everyone was just like, Tranquilo, Tranquilo.
That's
like,
so
what
funny.
is going on?
That's so
and
funny.
it's like, it was just I brought that kind of baggage or that attitude. Now I'm very much of just like, all right, it's going to happen. I mean, I still am, you know, I want to drive business, right? But at the same time, you just got to really, truly, like, be more chill.
Yeah, but for
And-
you had that more when you were getting everything built out. So
Yes.
you're like, hey man, like I need this. Hey, we need this done. It's like,
I'm on the
hey,
clock.
tranquilo. Yeah, like tranquilo. And then, you know, now that you got it in your hands, obviously you kind of work it the way you work it. You know what I mean? Like your customer service, everything's on point. It's good to go, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I mean, the way that we run the clinic is, like, our appointments start exactly when we say they're going to start. We don't rush anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we actually, even though an eye exam only takes 20, 30 minutes, we always block a full hour.
Yeah, because you get people that show up late even though they say they're going to be on time.
That for sure. And then also, we never want someone to be rushed.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
when you got
yeah.
questions for your doctor,
Yeah, yeah.
like, we never ever want you to feel as though you were not heard. You know,
Good
'cause
for you.
I feel like that's super important. Like, that's what you're
of course
paying
it
for.
is. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
of course it is. You want to sit down and talk. You know, the worst thing is like going somewhere and, you know, talking to a doctor and wanting to learn, like, hey, maybe if I do have something wrong with this, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, yeah.
So instead of
educate
it
me.
being like, hey, okay, we did the test, this is what's going on, you need this, you need this, you need this, and it's like, whoa, hang on, like, let's back up and talk about this a little bit, like, why is that like that? Or, you know, even Roy and she might explain everything the way it's explained, but there could be other questions like you're saying where I want to know, and then she
Yeah.
might be like, oh, okay, you want to open up a little bit more and go, yeah, let's do it, right?
Totally.
So,
And that, I mean, that's actually been a beautiful thing to watch because, you know, as I mentioned, you know, we can't work, but like, our doctors train with us for 9 months
Yeah.
before they see patients. And now, like, to see Dr. Fabiola in there, she has English classes every
yeah.
week. But, you know, for her to be able to truly explain, you know, what is happening, what is this disease, also, like, what has led to it, what can you do to, you know, help alleviate it, or, you know, giving different options, and ensuring that, you know, the patient really does they leave with everything.
Yeah.
Like, here are the different roadmaps. Here's, you know, what we can do. Which one would you like?
And
right?
she's fantastic. It's a training, right? So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
they go through a training.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean too. Is like, I don't know anything outside of just the optometry field, but there really is, you know, the people here are so interested and interesting and really smart if you give them the opportunity. And, you know, the access to the education in certain fields just isn't there. But if provided that access, buddy, like,
Yeah.
I mean, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and what we're seeing that right now with our clinic.
Yeah, and again, that's something you guys decided to kind of bring in and give that level of training so that they can excel, you know, the same way. Anybody that you employ, they're gonna excel, right?
Yeah, totally. And, you know, I think that's, at first, it's definitely a little frustrating because you want to work, right? You want to contribute, but then what you realize is, well, instead of taking that job, I'll educate
Yeah.
and create someone that can do the job. And
Definitely.
also you're increasing their ability to make more money. You're giving them the ability to support the business, provide a much better, higher level of service to your constituents and your customers. And truly, it helps us. We're an abstraction, right? I mean, we're at this like management level, and it gives us more time to think about like, how do we expand? Is there a second store? Are there other service lines that we want to, bring in? Who do we hire? Instead of being on boots on the ground. Right?
Yeah, and I think you just nailed what everybody should listen to if you're trying to come here and open a business. That's exactly the footprint of how you should do it, right? Yeah. You should come here opening a business knowing that, hopefully you're going to be able to hire. And then when you do, you just train them in a specific way where, you are going to do well, and maybe you can expand the business, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Ojos Del Mar.
Ojos Del Mar, baby.
Yeah, we'll drop an Ojos Del Mar in there. That's amazing.
Well, who do you have next on the show?
We've got a list of people we contact, and we say, hey, you guys want to come on this episode? It's going to get to a point where, if people love what we're talking about and people enjoy what's going on, yeah, we'll have I'll be able to tell you, here's who's coming next week, the week after, and the week after, right? Like everybody's kind of booked in already.
Of course.
Right now we just got our list and we just kind of touch base and see what's going on.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited, man. This is such a cool idea, opportunity. I think it's great for, anyone that's either in the community already or considering moving here.
Yeah.
Because that was one thing that's, you kind of feel like you're on an island when you're making that choice. Like, hey, okay, we're going to move abroad. Okay, well, now what?
Oh, definitely, right? definitely. And I mean, listen, for a lot of the places you check out, like this place is fantastic, man. There's so much here to offer, especially like the land, the microclimates, and the people.
Yeah.
It's just a great place,
oh,
right?
Completely. And you didn't even mention, beaches or the food and, the lifestyle. And there's a reason it's a blue zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to look through that list. There's so many people here. As we were saying at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
There's so many interesting people here that have been here. I mean, buddy, there's folks that have been down here for 30 years.
I can do an episode every third day.
Oh, yeah.
Every second day, and no problem have a ton of people come on.
Oh, dude, you'd have 2 years of content.
Yeah. I just want to say this has been episode 3 with Patrick Allen. Fantastic guest.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and
awesome.
Catch us on episode 4.
Looking forward to it.